Hi, my name is Jihan Shim and I would like to present the effect of web-based dictation and group size on Korean university students' English listening performance, written by Gyomi Kim. The table of contents are in 6 steps: introduction, literature review, method, results and discussions, conclusion and implication, and lastly, discussions and issues. I will talk about the introduction parts. Listening plays an important role in English language learning because it relates to the development of other language skills. And since with the prevalence of the internet, the web-based listening somehow transforms the traditional ways of teaching and learning, offers various practices of listening, and combines other skills in listening, such as grammar and other else. And several studies suggested the ways of use web-based learning. Dictation is one of the commonly used activities for developing listening skills. And web-based dictation can be used in language teaching, and it can be a good method for student-centered learning due to the feature of self-control. And there is an effect of the web-based learning in cooperative learning environment. The purpose of the study is first investigate the effect of the web-based listening, especially the dictation task, in the cooperative group setting. Second, also examine the effect of different group size when the web-based dictation was adopted in EFL classrooms. And there are 2 research questions. One is, are there any differences between the groups of students due to the use of web-based dictation task on their listening performance? And the second question is, are there any differences among the groups of students due to cooperative group size, which is individual, pair, and small group on their listening performance? Next is literature review of learning effect on dictation and web-based listening task. Ultimate goal of listening instruction is to help students have sufficient knowledge in order to construct the exact meaning of what they hear and eventually become successful communicators. And listening instruction includes 2 kinds of activities, which is language-based and meaning-based activities. And dictation can be widely used in any of these 2 activities. And there are 2 different types of dictations. One is full and spot dictation, and second is peer, perfect, and completion dictation, and other else. The web-based listening materials distributes useful listening practices to ESL and EFL students. And web-based dictation offers students to interact with various input modes, so this gives students more chance to identify weak forms of language and diagnose a problem that interferes comprehension that the traditional dictation. And this is the literature review of learning effect of cooperative group size and CALL instruction. Group or cooperative learning has been researched in language learning environment, and it has been expanded to the field of CALL research, which provides students with opportunities to engage in the learning process more deeply and produce more accurate language output. Class interaction between teacher-students and student-student triggered the students to notice the language forms and had facilitative effect on language output. The use of CALL materials distribute positive effect to develop various aspects of language skills, and cooperative learning can be adopted in listening instruction, and this listening instruction can be categorized into 3 types, which is whole class listening, group listening, and individual listening. And group works benefit students to develop listening strategies by means of group work and cooperative task completion. However, there are some disadvantages found in group work. The first step of method is participants. The study was conducted in 4 basic TOEIC classes at a university, and they had 150 undergraduates participated, and their age is 19 to 22, all was the first year of university. And their English level was low, and their first mock TOEIC test result is on average 250 to 350. None of them experienced web-based English listening instruction. and one of 4 classes was used as a control group, and this group completed listening tasks without web-based dictation. Other 3 classes were treatment groups, and they used the web-based dictation in a different group size. Second step is research design and teaching procedures. The study took a 4 weeks of experiment. A student took the paper and the pencil form of the pretest, which is consisted of 12 sentences with 30 words blank. The one-way analysis of variance was run on the pretest scores of the 4 groups and found no significant differences. Students took the same form of post-test. Control group conducted the dictation in traditional way, which is teacher plays audio file repeatedly and student wrote down on paper. 3 treatment group complete the web-based dictation task, which is student complete the dictation task on their own computer lab. This is the table that displays a summary of teaching procedures for each class session. The teaching procedures are warm-up, dictation, and analysis and correction. The teaching instrument is 2 written testing measures were employed first. Pre-test and the post-test were aimed at measuring the overall improvement of listening skills. 12 sentences with 30 blanks of words and phrases were written on the test paper. The second testing instrument was the result of the dictation task collected from the class sessions. Scoring and analysis is scoring method for the pre-test and post-test followed the exact word scoring method, which is 30 blanks of the 2 tests were regarded as the test items, and each blank contained 1 word or 1 phrase, which it was scored by 1 point for a correct and no point for incorrect. The dictation tasks were scored by appropriate word scoring method, which is 1 point for right and half point for partially right, but incorrect use of tenses and singular or plural forms of words were taken to be correct. To keep the experimental status consistent, the study only used the results from the first and last class sessions. Material selection is the website selected for the study did not provide written scripts or answers but presented media player. For control group, the teacher play audio files and students interact to stop and repeat. And for the treatment group, they control the audio files individually and corrected answer their own or interact with other students. Result and discussion for the effect of web-based dictation on listening performance. Mean scores of 2 measurements were compared between 2 groups, which is web group and con group. Table 2 demonstrates the result of the students' performance on the 2 measurements. As the table 2 demonstrates, mean difference on pre-test was not statistically significant, which indicates 2 groups are homogeneous at the beginning of the experiment. However, although the web group obtained the high score of the post-test than the con group, it was not statistically significant. This indicates that the student did not show any meaningful improvement on their listening performance regardless of the use of web-based dictation. For the results of the dictation task, 2 groups are homogeneous because the mean difference on the pre-dictation task was not statistically significant. However, the result of the post-dictation task showed that the con group outperformed the web group. So we could know that the internet-based or technology-enhanced learning lead the student to consider the input more closely and notice their own learning process. However, in this study, the students in the teacher-centered class produces better outcomes because all students had no experiences with student-centered online listening instructions, and the level of students' proficiency caused the result. Results and discussion for the effect of group size on listening performance. The second question of the study concentrated on the effect of group size on the students' listening performance. The scores of the pre-test and the post-test, as well as the results of 2 dictation tasks, were compared by 4 groups. At this table, you can see the con and in INDV and pair and SM, and the con group as a whole group, and INDV as an individual group, and pair as a pair group, and SM as a small group. Table 3 displays the results of each measurement by different group size. And Table 4 presents statistical analysis of the post-test and the post-dictation task. Show in Table 3, the individual INDV group obtained the highest score on the post-test, and then SM, which is the small group, and pair as a pair group, and CON, which is the whole group. But difference on post-test was not statistically significant showed in Table 4. Different with post-test, in the post-dictation task, CON, which is the whole group, gained the highest score showed in the Table 3. The mean difference of post-dictation task was statistically significant. In order to find the significant level among the different groups, the post-hoc analysis was run. In show in Table 5, the con group performed better than the other groups. Comparing the treatment groups, the difference between SM, which is the small group, and the pair as a pair group, as well as the difference between the INDV as an individual group and the pair as a pair groups reached the level of statistical significance. However, the difference between the INDV, which is the individual, and the SM as a small groups was not significant. So, students' dictation skills are highly improved when it was completed in a con group regardless of using web-based dictation. Better outcomes when implementing the web-based in small or individual group. Web-based dictation was relatively less effective in pair group. Students who proceeded the web-based dictation individually were easily to develop autonomy and outcomes than pairs. Next is conclusion and implication. First is the present study showed that the dictation skills were more improved with teacher-centered instruction than student-centered online learning, which is the first aspect of the study summary. Second, when the teachers consider adopting the web-based dictation in actual language classrooms, the findings of this study suggested the use it in small groups or individually, which is the second aspect of the summary. Lastly, this study found that the use of the web-based dictation was less effective in the pair work than in a small group or individual work, which is the third aspect of the summary. This study tried to figure out the effect of the web-based dictation and different group size in actual EFL classrooms, but there are some limitations to be concerned. First is the study only used the web-based dictation to examine the improvement of listening skills and levels for their listening proficiency. Second is more studies needed to be done in terms of group dynamics. Third is need to measure the durability of the listening ability and explore the effect of group interaction in long-term tasks. There are 5 points I would like to discuss. First is the study had no experience of web-based English listening instruction participants. Does this setting shows the various results? In my opinion, it will give various results to show the effect of web-based dictation on listening performance when the study has both experienced and unexperienced. It seems to have some limitation because students were unfamiliar with web-based English listening instruction. And the second is the study had just low-level participants, thus this setting shows various results. In my opinion, if other levels like intermediate and advanced were in the study, then it might have results of decrease or maintain in showing the effect of web-based dictation on listening performance. Third, the study set the only one controlled group. Does this setting shows various results? In my opinion, it could have various results to find out which way is the best to enhance the listening performance. Specifically, it will show different results in setting of two or more controlled groups. Fourth, the TOEIC class seems to be proper participants method to this study. In my opinion, TOEIC test has listening parts which requires proficiency in listening performance, especially related with web-based dictation, which seems to be proper to this study. However, I also thought that what if this study was applied with high school or middle school English class? It might suggest a part of direction to teachers or students in schools to enhance students' listening performance to ready for their national college entrance exam or their midterm or final terms. Last question is this study show the effect of web-based dictation of language listening performance, which is appropriate in nowadays. In my opinion, this is appropriate and necessary on nowadays. Nowadays, technology has been developed and listening is the main skills that can be seen in our tests like TOEIC, TOEFL, and even National College entrance exam. So this has to be discussed and studied to enhance the way to teach listening performance and study listening performance more effectively. Thank you for listening.